questions, I provide answers, and we go for about 3 hours, maybe longer, depending if there's shit to do afterwards. We are in a high school. I was so charmed by this, especially when we actually got here to come to high school, because normally you get to the gig and there's like, here's a green room, and you're just hanging out backstage. The green room here was the drama room. So, I learned a lot about dramatic structure. It's all written up on the board, and I was like, that's what was wrong with Cop Out. None of this. It's cool. It has the makings of an epic Q&A tonight, man. Great, wonderful crowd. Place I've never been. High school. Throw those elements together, something magical might happen here tonight. Okay, so we got some folks here, I'm not much in for the dramatics and theatrics. You can turn the lights up on the house so we can all see each other. I always feel it's so unfair that they see me and all I see is just shapes. If we turn up the house lights, we can all look at each other. It'll make some people put their dicks away. Okay, we got one here, and then get up there too later on. You know, we'll make the ones upstairs go. Let's start with, are you a girl? Fuck off. We gotta start with... It's just so rare that we ever get a girl up in the fucking microphone. It's, you know, normally dudes all the time and shit, and they're like, how do you get a girl? But we got a girl, we got a Halifax girl. She ain't no Halifax girl.
I'm Sarah.
How are you? I'm Kevin.
So, I'm a huge fan.
Thank you.
I've listened to all the podcasts, I'm a huge fan of Tell Steve Dave.
All right.
Love basketball. So I know a lot about you, but there's one thing I don't know. What is your preference, indica or sativa?
I honestly don't have a preference. I used to be more of an indica person. Lately I've been on this sativa, which is pretty sweet. I've been smoking this Nowie Wowie stuff, which most people know that blend. But this particular strain that they got out in California right now is it's basically you take one inhalation and the gates of heaven open. And Jesus is like, what do you want to know? That's kind of outside. I normally go for the indicas and shit. I'm a guy, weed works differently on me than it tends to work on other people. There's some of us productive stoners where our intake, we process it, fuel it kind of differently. The stereotype, of course, is you smoke weed and then you lay on the couch, you watch TV, you grab something to eat and some shit. And I guess that's true for a lot of people. I found that it's different for some people that kind of tag it on to productivity. When I realized I was going to start smoking on a regular basis, where I was like, oh my God, this is really good. Why did I wait? I'm 38 years old. Who hid the truth from me? As soon as when I realized that, I was like, I'm going to do this on a regular basis. I'm going to recommit my life to something different, other than a human being. Commit my life to a weed. But I really realized I had to readjust everything, because once you do that, once you're like, hey man, I'm a fucking habitual stoner now, then people are just like, they can tack you on any number of angles and say, oh, he's a fucking loser and shit. They can always say I'm a loser, but with that, they can find some other way to do it where it's like, he hasn't done anything worthwhile. I realized I had to up my productivity. If I was going to start smoking as much weed as I wanted to in my heart of hearts, I wanted to. And I knew, I was just like, this is amazing. And it's so weird because people go like, well, didn't you know you made all those stoner moves? No, I was just making shit up. It's so funny that like 15 years later, I was like, it's true? But the day I finally watched one of my movies high, I was like, I understand why I have a career now. When you talk about that, like, oh, don't fucking glorify weed. And I'm with you. I don't glorify other drugs and stuff like that. In fact, I've been through enough drug travails with a friend of mine, Jason Hughes, for many years to want to stay away from everything remotely hard edge. But my politics, my beliefs when it comes to weed, it comes out of the fucking earth. It's not manufactured. It's not cut with anything. It grows everywhere like a fucking weed. I think God had something to do with it. And I'm a Christian, so I'm gonna fucking follow the law. One I just made up, and smoke all that. But for those that don't, it's not one of those things where I ever use it as a judgment or dividing line. I'm not one of those guys that's like, you don't smoke weed, what are you, crazy? It works for me, I understand it doesn't work for other people and stuff. But man, if it works for you, if you can harness that shit and get it to work for you, it's like fucking smashing the atom, seriously. If you can find a way to harness weed and rhyme. Did you ever see that fucking movie Avatar? Remember he wrote The Big Bird? That's what weed is. Weed is that gigantic bird in Avatar that motherfucker had to tame, and then he landed and people were like, I'm gonna suck that guy's dick. He landed the weed bird. Anyway, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm Josh.
Josh, nice to meet you.
Welcome to Halifax.
Thank you so much.
You actually have a Halifax connection, whether you're aware or not. I don't know. Mallrat soundtrack had a great Halifax band called Fresh Hermit on it.
Fresh Hermit? One more connection, and it's not nearly as obvious as that, and obviously I missed that one as well. The little girl from Juneau, she from here, right?
Okay.
I've met her once. She seemed very nice. I met her in a bar in Cannes, which sounds weird. It's like I met a chick from Juneau in a bar in Cannes. But I was in Cannes Film Festival, and she was there. She was in the X-Men movie. We were there with the Clerks too, and she was in X3. That's weird. There was no original films there at all. And I'd seen the movie night before, and I had to wear a tux to see it. It was the last time I got dressed up. They forced me to get dressed up to go see X-Men 3 in order to watch it. In Cannes, you walk up the carpet, the palais, and then you gotta be dressed up and shit. So I brought a tux with me because I was going to be going to see Southland Tales, which was also a competition for my own screening. I wasn't going to wear a tux. I wore a tux top and then fucking jean shorts. But for X-Men 3, it was like, you gotta wear a tux. So I was like, well, I want to see it. But all right, fucking hey, let's do it. Put on the tux, went and saw the movie. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. Next morning, I'm downstairs in the hotel. I couldn't get a Wi-Fi signal in the room. You could get some downstairs. So I'm downstairs in the bar, just sitting online, fucking checking email and whatnot. And then I see Juno. She ain't Juno yet, but she's Kitty Pryde. So instead of being Juno, instead of being Ellen Page, she was always the character she plays to me. And so she wasn't Juno yet, she was fucking Kitty Pryde. And I'm sitting there, I never talk to anybody. I'm not one of those cats that gets, hey man, I'm fucking in this business too. Because I always assume I'm going to be like, hey man, I'm in this business too. They're like, fuck off. I'm like, right on. So, I just assume that they're never going to have something kind to say. So I tend to stay away from cats, and I'll look from a distance and shit, just like other people. 1995, we were at the Universal Commissary, me and Mosier eating lunch. Fucking who's sitting across the table? We see him sit down, he's eating soup. It's fucking Sean Connery. And I wanted to go over and be like, oh my god, fucking you want Sean Connery. But instead, we just sat there and we were like, let's watch him eat soup. Apparently, you're eating soup periodically. You don't just look right in the bowl. And he'd look up, and there's me and Mosier. So I generally don't interact with famous fuckers or whatnot. But her, she wasn't huge famous at this point, so I was like, I can get away with talking to her. She might be nice to me and shit like that. Especially if I'm going to lead with what I led with, which was like, hey man, I saw the fucking movie. I finally closed my computer, got up, was on my way out. So I'll do it on my way out the room. Get up to head out. I was like, hey man, I just wanted to say I saw the movie. I thought you were great as Kitty Pryde. And she was like, thanks, man. And that was it. That was the end of our exchange. So based on that, I was like, these Nova Scotians are kind to me.
Some of us.
So, all right. I really honestly can't believe that you're like 6 feet, 10 feet.
I can get even closer to watch it.
Because it's been like 6-8 hours a day.
Me too.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Okay.
So about 8 hours a day in my head, which is why it's crazy that now.
dirty.
I know. I'm like a 15-year-old at a Justin Bieber concert. Because of you, I've become a podcaster.
Are you? You recorded? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Look over. This is what I'm doing. How did you start podcasting?
We have a have about 3 recorded now.
Oh, isn't it fun?
Oh, it's great.
Don't you feel like a radio star? Like,
Definitely.
one day I started thinking about it. I want to be on the radio because I love going into radio stations and sitting there and interviewing and shit. Theater of the mind is awesome, as you heard. Like, I just love the idea of I'm standing here building the word picture. And then I started going like, I would love to work in a radio show. I should get a little radio job somewhere here in Los Angeles. And then I was like, wait, if I do in LA, I'm just serving in this area right here. I was like, I don't need anyone else to do this. Like, I'm so conditioned. I think most of us are. They're like, someone has to give me permission to do this. Not in the age of fucking technology, man. Nobody needs to give me permission. You just need a fucking internet hookup. So the notion of like, hey man, let's sit down and fucking do this. Oh my God, just countless hours.
Well, it's usually a situation where we sit down, we start sober.
Yes.
And then by the end of it, we're hammered.
Yes. And then you get to listen to it the second time because you're drunk. And when you said, you're like, I'm funny.
And before I used to actually just take a camera and put it on myself and then get stoned at late night and just for hours I'd edit video and
wait, have a camera on yourself?
yeah, or just like with my friends film a party and then just, kind of make it funny that way and add stupid iMovie effects or whatever.
I've never done that. I've never been like, I'm gonna take myself just to see what happens.
I just covered all my questions right there. I thought I'd be able to get you to talk for at least an hour.
So many people, like, I tend to give a very long response.
I don't remember what his question was.
That's why I was in there like, are we good? Because sooner or later, you hit some people who are like, you didn't even answer my question. But it is, I tend to go along, and then so many people have kind of made comments about, I'm not bitching about it. Some people are like, Jesus, man, ask him a question, he'll answer it in 2 fucking hours. So I try to vary it up, try to give them long and give them short and stuff. And invariably, we never get more than 10, 15 people in the Q&A. So sad, like everyone, like you're never going to get your question. It's sad, but it's true. I just don't want to, ruin the suspense. But yeah, you see how long I talk. It was like fucking 2 hours on that. Here, we're coming up on 15 minutes, right?